safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veterans services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who is interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Resources Committee for Tuesday, September 26th. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to open it up for public comment today. Do we have any public comment here? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Korndike, support by Commissioner Bonk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to legislative update. PAA, Scott Breslin. Please come forward. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Good morning. We wired here? Great.
We're wired.
So good morning. My name is Scott Breslin. I'm with Public Affairs Associates. I think most of you are used to having Becky Beckler here today and providing great deal on a lot of different issues. She's in Washington, D.C., and I'm unfortunately not able to be here. I planned this morning to cover 4 or 5 different issues, 2 being more global in approach and 3 being specific to the county's agenda. The first, which I've actually been involved with here over the last couple of weeks, would be municipal finance reform. We were able to, well, first of all, I guess it's important to note that the legislature between now and the end of the year are going to try to tackle some significant issues, one of them being municipal finance reform. We're lucky here in West Michigan, in the Grand Rapids area to have lawmakers that are leading this debate and work group. One being Representative Thomas Albert and also Representative Robert Hewlin. For what we understand, we've checked in with both of these guys over the last couple of weeks, and from what we understand, most of the standards or policies that will be included in this debate, Kent County has already achieved. The response I got initially was way ahead of this. The things that they're doing are what we're seeking to have other municipalities around the state do. And then they went into quoting some numbers actually about how well funded some of your pensions are, and even included the Grand Rapids Airport apparently is doing very well in funding their liability also. We're expecting to see something come out of that work group before the end of the year. We'll continue to monitor that. We understand that that's very important. The second issue I want to cover, definitely global, but of significance because of its timing, would be the auto no-fault reform, the auto no-fault debate. Today, sometime before noon, I can't remember the exact time, 10 o'clock a.m. as I'm being triggered there, the mayor of Detroit, Mayor Duggan, and the Speaker of the House, Tom Leonard, will be doing a press conference to introduce their reforms to the auto no system. It's an interesting dynamic and partnership that's come together to try to push something through. As you know, multiple times over the last 30, even 35 years, the legislatures have tried to move this issue forward, and there are multiple different sticking points. In this plan, there will be reforms in attendant care, there will be a fraud authority, there will be a schedule, and those are some of the main features, and in theory, there will be a mandated rate rollback to a certain portion of your insurance bill. This is just beginning. Multiple camps that are interested in these issues have all staked their claim in their pieces of legislation, and as this moves forward, I believe that it will likely look a lot different than how it is introduced, but for time, in a long time, in the 15 years I've been doing this, there is a lot of swelling to get at least some of the pieces fixed. The third issue I would like to talk about is Senate Bills 529 and 530, which provide clarification for allowable reimbursement for the child care fund. These bills Becky has been working on over the past months, but there's been some significant movement in the fact that there is a committee scheduled, Senate oversight is scheduled for this week, the 29th, for testimony on both of the bills. It's unknown whether they are going to take a vote this week or whether they're going to follow the normal process, which is testimony this week and they take a vote the week following. We will continue to monitor that and report back to this committee. Another project that we've worked on over the past months is trying to find a sponsor for kind of the redefining of the juvenile justice age, 17, 18. I think most of you have been following that debate. It's one of our initiatives. The group has identified Senator John Prose as potentially being a sponsor for this bill. While he is a great sponsor and very strong within the legislature, I think most of you have also been following the potential move of Congressman Fred Upton to potentially jumping into a Senate race. That rumor has been there. It hasn't been formally announced. What that means for us and for John Prose is he could now looking at a congressional run, which will mean that for the time between now and election time, his focus may not necessarily be on this initiative. So, and you know, that's a pretty, I think, standard policy that we could apply is as we move closer to January 1, we move out of what's called like a policy year and we move more into a political year. So interests and focus seem to change between now and next year when candidates have to run. We'll continue to monitor that and report back to this committee on our success of potentially finding a sponsor for that bill. Lastly, and I'm not sure whether it has been reported yet, but on September 6th, Senate Bill 394 was signed into law, which would extend the sunset to require DHHS to pay 100% of foster care administrative rates. I know that was an initiative that was important to this group, and we were able to find some sort of success there. That was again sponsored by Senator Pete McGregor, who has been very instrumental in many of the county's initiatives, and I do have to credit some of the relationships I think that you all have here with Gregor in helping move that forward. So with that, I'll be happy to take questions on other issues. I will warn you that I will likely take them back to Lansing and find the answers for you, but I commit to you that I will do that and work with Becky as she comes back from Washington to figure other issues out.
Thanks, Scott. Any questions for Scott today? None? I'm letting him off easy. Commissioner Bulkowski.
Well, I don't know if this is really for Scott, but for maybe Wayman as well. Did the State Court Administrator's biannual report on judicial resources get issued? I thought I saw something in Mears about some changes happening up in Keweenaw and Baraga, and it just triggered my reading that article. And so, because one of the things that we had talked about since I had the opportunity to be twice part of our Judicial Resource Review Committee, that some of the district court issues that we have in the county, and not issues with their performance, but issues with, how can they share jurisdiction? The example of somebody gets being north of town for a speeding ticket or some kind of violation, they have to drive from Byron Center past about 5 district courts to get to our district court, which again makes no sense. But
I don't believe any legislation has been proposed coming out of that report since.
Well, I'm not necessarily looking for the legislation. I'm looking for something more to read, just to see what they've been saying about us since we did add the judge.
Let us take a look at that, Commissioner, and we'll provide you. We'll ask staff to take a closer look at that and get back.
Okay. So again, just wonder if that report, and I don't know if you have clients up in the UP that care about those 2 counties, but unfortunately we don't have to care about them right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you may have seen something publicly.
In Mears, it was talking about some changes again at Keweenaw and Baraga, and once I thought I saw Kentwood, but it was Keweenaw, so I kind of stopped reading shortly after that.
We'll do some research on it.
Yeah, though I love Keweenaw County. It's a fine motorcycle ride, isn't it, Commissioner? Absolutely.
They're all fine motorcycle rides until a car comes by.
Then maybe a question for Scott. And speaking of cars and auto no fault, it's, and I don't know if it's this much of a question. It's always going to be interesting, who are the current winners and losers under the current system, and then who will be the winners and losers of reform. Because, you say reform in attendant care, and with my day job with disability advocates, there's too many examples of folks that are, we don't know how much care is being provided for free by family and friends, and then you just look at 1 or 2 cases of abuse or what might look like abuse, and again, wacky stuff happens. And I know the insurance industry is between the crosshairs because they've been I've been doing, but other people are filling in the blank about bad things. And so, then at the end of the day, I don't know how much of that directly impacts the county, other than it's going to have a massive impact on all the citizens of the county. But what we have authority over, I don't know. I mean, again, I looked to Commissioner Korndike since he knows a little more about insurance than I do. But what are they?
You mean the no fault?
The no fault reform. Yeah, the whole package.
Can I just weigh in 1 second?
Sure.
The only concern is if no fault does go away completely,
Oh.
further exacerbate the Medicaid.
Oh, if it went away
And that
completely,
will-
it would be.
That's right.
Right.
Even putting lower caps will
Yeah.
bring that into play as well.
Right.
Because
So-
most states have lower caps and Medicaid picks up all the, so we have to be more funding.
And
for
I don't
Medicaid.
know, this is certainly just something, a rumor that was kind of flying around, but one of the legislators was mentioning in Colorado, they did this, and it was a $2 billion addition to their Medicaid rolls.
Yeah.
Someone's got to pay it.
So someone's
Well,
gonna.
and that was my question yesterday at the chamber breakfast about what's the real impact on people? And then, you know, I mean, it was a public event. Representative Johnson talked about working on behalf of the working men and women of his district who are forced to pay for the catastrophic stuff, which other legislators said was the best deal going from an insurance rate and for the coverage you get. But the part that if I had an opportunity to respond to his response, twice Michigan voters have weighed in on auto fault, and Michigan voters like auto no fault. So I'm all in favor of reform, you know, I mean, and I won't list the issues now, but at the citizens have spoken at least twice very loudly, the only 2 occasions that we want to keep auto no fault. So the people who talk about the elimination, I don't know who they're talking to, but I'll just leave it at that for today. But again, at the end of the day, other than Medicaid, it's going to impact providers in the county, huge. There will be ripple effects, but us directly, we'll have to wait for the ripples to hit us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Any other questions for Scott? Thank you so much for coming and watching our back in Lansing. We really appreciate it.
Have a great morning.
Thank you. All right, up next, probate court performance measurement, 5-minute update. Hello.
Susan Flackney.
Susan Blanken. Flackney.
I'm Susan Flackney, the probate register with the Kent County Probate Court. I think it's clear in the 10 years that I've been in this position that certain areas of our caseload are growing and probably will continue to grow. Those are mental commitment cases, because we have a very strong system here for providing mental health treatment in Kent County. So our citizens that are suffering from mental illness have ready access to that care. Also, adult guardianships. The population of Kent County, like the population of the United States, is aging, and we continue to see steady increases in the number of adult guardianship cases. Those are our 2 primary growth areas. One thing I will say about the commitment cases, there was a significant change to the mental health code that became effective in February of 17, called Kevin's Law. It was a redo of Kevin's Law, which has existed for some number of years but had not been used often. But the changes enable the court to, in most cases, when we are in order for mental health treatment, to make that order last 6 months. That's twice what the old orders could last. So the result of that may well be a decrease in mental commitment petitions, because we have a lot of people who are repeat users or respondents of mental health petitions, and they won't have to come back to court as often if the orders last 6 months rather than just 90 days. So we'll see how that works out. One of the most significant accomplishments, I think, for the court has been to keep the cost of legal services under control. We instituted a program in 2010 to bill the people who received the benefit of those legal services and try to recoup what we had paid for guardian ad litem fees and attorney's fees. And that's primarily in adult guardianships and mental commitment cases. Those are the two case types that we're required to provide legal help. As a result of that billing process, and a lot of people are indigent and not able to pay, but there are a lot of people that are able to pay. So as a result of that, we've decreased the cost to the general fund. If you look at our total legal expenditures minus recoupments, by nearly 20% since 2009. So those numbers are on our sheet, and we are very proud of them. The other major accomplishment has been the Kent County Guardianship Program. You all know what we did with that program, and we took it over, the county took it over beginning 10/1 of 15. So we've had just 2 years since that happened. The demand for public guardians in terms of the number of requests that are made to the program has increased significantly. We had 110 requests during 2014 when DHS was running it. We had 134 in 2015 when we took over for that last quarter of 15. In 6 we had 240. So it's nearly doubled just in 1 year, and those rates are going up. The court can't, by statute, appoint a professional guardian for an individual unless there's no willing or suitable family member. But that seems to be a situation that is steadily increasing. We have people that just have no one in their life, or that are in their life have been financially exploiting them or failing to take care of them. So that demand is increasing. Since we took over the program, we have also significantly increased the number of public guardians. That was a problem with DHS. There was no staff time to devote to recruitment of new guardians, and so we had a whole bunch of guardians whose caseloads were full and couldn't take any more cases, and so we couldn't meet the need. We've gone from 30 guardians when the county took over the program to 43 right now, and we'll be interviewing, I believe, 2 more in the next couple of weeks. So we are very proud of that. In connection with the court itself, as you know, the State Court Administrator's Office sets guidelines for how quickly we move cases along, and the probate court continues to meet all of those guidelines. In mental commitment cases in particular, very strict guidelines, and we're meeting more than 99% of our mental health petitions, having disposed of them within 14 days and 100% within 28 days. The only time it takes longer than 14 days are when the respondent requests an independent medical by a psychiatrist or demands a jury trial, which obviously results in an adjournment and takes a little bit long. Is that 5 minutes? Do you have any questions for me?
All right, thanks, Susan. Any questions for Susan today? I have a couple, actually, if anyone else does. On the adult guardianships and the ability to pay, is that something that the senior village could play into? Do they utilize any of those services?
Well, we have funding for the professional guardianship program from the senior millage. So we do, our budget from senior millage this year is $120,000, and we've asked for $164 for 2018.
Okay. And then on page 5, the number of mental commitment petitions processed for other counties. Is this the same issue that we had with our legislators we talked to about increasing the fee? Or Did we
There's
increase
just
our
not a
fee, or-
good way to do that.
Okay.
And
they're out of
Judge
county, there's
Murkowski
no-
asked that we not pursue that anymore because the problem is 83 counties, and say half of those counties may have somebody at Pine Rest that's involuntary. If Kent County were to say to those 41 counties who have a patient at Pine Rest, we're going to charge you $25 or $50 to handle scheduling of this case for you and conducting a hearing if that's necessary. Those would say, hey, the Michigan Judicial Institute put video in all of our courtrooms. We don't need you to do it. We'll do it by video. And now all of a sudden, instead of Pine Rest dealing with the 2 half-days that they've set aside for Kent County Probate Court to hear cases, and they've devoted their psychiatrists to being at those hearings, those 2 half-days, all of a sudden they've got 41 counties demanding time for the psychiatrists to and to schedule hearings outside of those times. So Pine Rest went nuts when this idea.
Okay.
We, as a practical matter, we don't do all of the work. We just do some of the work. So if a petition is filed with a person from another county, we get a communication from that county. The petition is filed there. We get a communication from that county saying, hey, John Smith is at Pine Rest. We need an attorney date. So we get the name. We put it in our system. We give them the attorney who's assigned to that day. We give them a time. And so we schedule it.
Okay.
And then we don't do any more unless it has to go to hearing, in which case the judge hears it in connection with all of ours.
We just made it one of our legislative
I know.
priorities at the beginning of the year, so I just wanted to double check that. So,
Yep.
thank you. Any other questions for Susan? Commissioner Bulkowski?
Well, I definitely understand like an administrative nightmare to send invoices to 41 counties and
That is
track.
true as well.
Track all of that and that piece. But
And
would-
they do some for us, too.
Yeah, I mean, is there any precedent within the judicial systems for kind of fee sharing, not at the micro level, like person by person, but, like a special pot? Or we create a special pot to say, because, I would imagine there's 1 or 2 other psychiatric facilities in the state where this happens as well. And just to say, hey, Fairstow, if Kent County
Oakland
got
County is.
Yeah. And
yeah.
so if somewhere they found an extra $50,000,
The one way
making a
they
number
could do,
up,
the
but-
one way they could do that is with the court equity fund.
Okay. And I would imagine.
But again, the court equity funding is so murky. And so there's not a specific amount that comes to Kent County Probate Court. There's this big amount that comes to county, and it's funding for the probate court, the circuit court, and the district court. So it's not divided up by the court or by court. So
But there's
would be
not a
difficult.
separate, there's not a fund that we could pool resources to offset expenses from other counties.
Right, well, again, it's to talk to our folks if it continues to be an issue, and at least we could buy a sum relatively certain to say, again, fair is fair, and the easiest way to do it would be an appropriation as opposed to us trying to collect, again, making a number up at 50,000. It could be way more or way less. Because it's the, I'm just thinking of like unreimbursed medical expenses used to be a huge battle between east side of the state and west side, since most of the money went there. But it was a pot of money set up to take some of the sting out of unreimbursed medical.
as far as I know, the only pot of money that comes to the county for the courts is from the court equity fund.
In addition to formulas. And
It would be interesting to know just what
That's the form
kind of
she's
money we're
talking
talking about. Is it
Yeah.
5,000? Is
It's
it
not.
10,000? Is it,
Okay.
if it's minimal, then
All right.
50,000.
I think 50 would be tops. That's probably
Okay.
high.
Yeah, so, okay.
Most importantly, thank you for all your hard work in making things happen.
You're welcome.
Since at least I don't hear any complaints about probate court.
Not today.
No other
That's an
questions?
indicator.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, on to item 5, Commissioner Miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous today? I just want to remind everyone, we're coming up on the deadline for our appointments for committees and commissions, and anyone you could talk to get those applications in would be great. Post it on your Facebook, remind everyone. We'll hit process in October, so seeing nothing else, we're adjourned.
See you Thursday.
Okay, so we're gonna have to update this.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.